right there. They look right up at the other like, great, right? Solo time crunch. Yeah. Well, so that is how much was so I used to actually
No, I know.
yeah, I also did. I actually had runs. Gotta wake up.
I'm
Well, I think he's going to start the eulogy.
Yeah, you told me you could call me.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can everybody hear? He's about ready to start. Tell me if you can hear what he's saying. I'll turn down the music, I think.
And if you want to sit down.
That's okay, I'm 6'5". This microphone's going to be a hard time. Good evening, my name is Good evening, my name is Sergio Medin. I'd like to start out by thanking you. I'd like to start out by thanking Trisha LaBelle, Honor of Borders, and Bar Sinister for allowing us to have Matthew's memorial here this evening. Special shout out to Bree Cole, who responded with immense assistance to coordinate this event, and thank you to the staff who are working this event as well. Thank you guys.
Can you hear him
I'd like to
now?
thank both Vicki Hamilton And John Eckert. John, let's see your hand, man. For hosting this event with me. And I would like to send my deepest condolences to his friends and family who are learning of Matthew's passing today. I say today because they will be watching this video for the first time. It's going to go to their family, his friends in Illinois, and everybody who knew him around the world. All right, we have a list of speakers this evening. We're going to start off with a friend of Matthew, someone who's been a friend of Matthew for 24 years, former manager of his band New Rising Sun, Vicki Hamilton.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out. You know, the first time that I met Matthew was, he sang right here. He jumped up and he sang with a band called Corel. And there was like all these whispers about him, and he was like fantastic. And when he was done performing, he ran out this door, and I like chased him down the street, and I was like, I grabbed him by his coat, and I was like, I go, "Hi Matthew, I'm Vicki." And he goes, "I know who you are." Scared the shit out of me. And that started our friendship, and he was like an amazing creative, an amazing piano player, singer, songwriter. You know, he wasn't like anybody that I ever met before, because he could say like the most brilliant thing that would have you like going to Google and like researching it, and then you know, all these like deep, amazing thoughts, but he never knew what day it was or what time it was. And I know that I have at least 40 phone numbers for him in my phone right now. You know, it's like he couldn't hold on to anything, you know. It's like he was such a free spirit. But you know, I became the manager of New Rising Sun, which John was also in the band. And they made incredible demos. They packed out Bar Sinister. This place was so special to him. He read tarot cards here as well. And, you know, it was like a really honor to like represent him for me. And, you know, I feel sad that he never got the huge recognition, because he should have. And, you know, there is music out there. You've been hearing some of it here tonight. Yeah, so I just want to talk a minute about his intuitive ability. You know, he could have probably been like a Tyler Henry type guy if he had really developed that skill, because he was so good at picking up on things and like figuring things out for people. And one of the things, he saved my life. It's like I was living in this guest house in Hollywood, and he came over, and I was like really, really sick. They were giving me blood transfusions, you know, spinal taps, all these things. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. And he said, "You know, Vicki, I think there's mold in here." And I was like, "Really?" I mean, there was no visible mold or smell of mold, but he just knew. And I had this friend that like did insurance claims, and he got the guy to come check it, and sure enough, 3 types of mold in there. One which was black mold. There was like a pipe underneath the house that broke, and that's what was like making me sick. I mean, you know, I may have died if it wasn't for him, you know. And I know he read a lot of people and helped them with their families and their crises and whatever. And a lot of times he wouldn't take money for it. I mean, you know, he didn't care about money. That wasn't his thing, you know. I just, we spent a lot of time together, holidays, and we both felt like orphans. He was always on a quest for finding his true self. And I'm glad that he finally did. Unfortunately, he had to die soon after, but He was a great human being. He would like fish out bees out of the swimming pool. I mean, that crazy shit, you know. But you know, I feel very lucky to have known him. And I saw him just a few days before he died, and he came over and read my tarot cards, and he like told me that he was having trouble breathing, and I told him he needed to like go get that checked out. But you know, he had a hernia operation. I don't know what the correlation was with that, but you know, it still seems very surreal to me that this has happened. But I loved him like a brother, and I hope that wherever he is now, he's at peace. Thank you. So, one person I introduced Matthew to was Jordan the Lion, who's gonna like speak now. He's like a very famous blogger, and Matthew did several hours with him, and I'll let you take it from here, Jordan the Lion.
I was introduced to Matthew by Vicky because I like to meet and have people that have interesting stories tell me their story. And Vicky told me that he was a great tarot card reader, and that he thought that maybe Charles Manson might possibly have been his father. So who wouldn't want to hear that story? So we meet up, and I meet him, and I go, for sure this guy thinks he is. And then he tells me his story, and it's all well and might. It was always a situation of, well, there's just a lot of things that are adding up, but I don't know. Never really had any agenda in any time that I ever talked to him. And so after the first time, we started talking, and turns out we both moved to Hollywood to go to Musicians Institute together. I mean, or not together, but we both moved here for that reason. And then when he invited me to come see him in his practice space, and he had some letters and stuff he wanted to show me, turns out that was where my practice space was. So we found all kinds of weird correlations, and every time that we would make a video, people that didn't even know him would say, I don't care if this guy is Manson's son or not, there's something about him that I like. And it was hundreds of thousands of people that didn't know him that were saying, I don't know what it is about this guy, but he seems so sweet. And I'm here to tell you, every time I talked to him, he was that sweet. He was always asking how I was first. How have you been? What have you been up to? You'd meet up with him, and then, you know, you'd find out through the grapevine that he didn't have any money. So one time, you know, I call him and I say, hey, I got a couple $100 I want to give to you. And he goes, oh, really? That'd be great. I don't have anything right now. So we met up, and all of a sudden I said, hey, you know, people want to have tarot card readings with you. I know you're not, you know, you don't want to make any money, but what about $20? He said, you think that'd be ethical? I said, you're giving your time, and you know, you have an ability. He got so overwhelmed with people sending him messages wanting to talk to him, I think he had to quit responding, because ever since his passing, I have gotten countless emails from people saying, I met Matthew because of your vlog, I saw him talking, I emailed him, and for the last 3 years we have been friends. He's helped me through hard times in my life. And I'm going, these are all people that never got to meet him, people that, you know, didn't know him from anyone on the street, and he reached out and made a difference in their life. And so it was probably 6 months ago he contacted me and said, I know who my father is now. I have done a genealogy, and I just don't trust anybody. I think anytime that I do anything, somebody has an agenda. So I was hoping maybe you would put it out, because I want to be the one to tell the world the truth. I said, sure. I said, I can't get out there for a couple months. He said, I'll wait. I've been holding on to it all this time. I'll wait till you get out here. So we got together, and I just turned the camera on and let him tell everything that he wanted to tell. And throughout that, he ended up telling us that he was sick and that he was having trouble breathing, telling us that he found out everything. And the coolest, I think, thing that came out of it was he said, I can finally move on. I've never been able to make money off my own music because I always felt like people only cared about me because I might be someone else's son. And now everybody knows the truth, and now people can like me for me. And I said, yeah, I said, people love you, dude. I said, I'm telling you, when I read the comments, it's never about, oh, he wants this or that. It's always, this guy seems so nice. So as soon as I posted, I found out, was told that Matthew passed, I thought, he always would tell me, like, I trust you more than anybody to tell my story. So I just wanted to let people know for this occasion, if they wanted to come out and see him. And 160,000 people have watched that video that don't even know Matthew, that love Matthew. So even though he didn't get the recognition, I think, in his life, a lot of people loved the music that we put in the video to share that was his music, him performing it, and now want to hear his music. So hopefully his legacy will live on through everyone that loved him. And I feel like his personality really showed when you turned the camera on. He never ever had an agenda, never asked for anything other than just fairness. And I talked to him 2 nights before he passed away, and he was worried about his car getting towed. And I just think, oh God, he was almost dying, and he was worried about something so silly that we all deal with. And I think, his untimely passing should be a reminder to everybody to tell the people you love that you love them, and make the most out of every day that you can, because everybody in this room was touched by Matthew in some way or another, and I hope everybody tells how that happened tonight. So thank you.
As we move along, though Matthew's family was unable to attend, they asked me to share these thoughts with you today. Let's see. Matthew's family, Joanne, Diane, and Peter, would like to thank everyone for being here today. We don't think of Matthew as adopted, he is family. Matthew had a normal childhood in a Midwestern town with his larger, immediate family close by. Birthdays, holidays, and church were a family affair. His dad worked and his mom stayed home with the kids. Matthew was one of 3 children. We had 18 wonderful years with him before he decided to go off and follow his dream of music. We are proud of him and all he had achieved. Thanks to everyone along the way who helped Matthew in some way. We are grateful for all his friends and acquaintances throughout the years. Our next speaker, who's actually here, thank you, Colleen, has been friends with Matthew for 20 years. Colleen Butler.
Actually more like 25. Anyway, so late afternoon on September 3rd, I was driving north from the Grapevine, approaching the summit. Suddenly my gauge lights flashed and the temperature shot up. I was startled and it was unexpected. My car never had problems. I managed to dip into a turnout and wait it out. An hour later, I topped off the coolant. The car fired right up and I was on my way, and the car was fine. Next exit, Fraser Park. And I thought of Matt, and he was so proud of that lot he had there. It was an impressive piece of forest. It's sort of property that kind of inspired big dreams. Matt and I were friends and worked colleagues from 1999 to 2014. We spent hours dissecting conspiracies and reading the room for our own amusement and sharing bits of each other's daily occurrences. Matt's laugh was booming, sincere, and was contagious. He never missed a cue while he was DJing. I don't know how he did it. Matt created the ambience of a good night with his enthusiasm, eccentricities, and music. And his formula worked well at different venues, boldly playing his Ode to Manson, New Rising Sun at each club, and even in the hip-hop era, his quest to discover if his dad was Manson somehow created a perfect club ambience for those 15 years. After a busy pre-Christmas weekend around 2002 at Gentlemen's Club, Matt and I compared our no plans for the holidays and spontaneously decided to take a road trip. Matt wanted to scout out spots to buy property in Northern California, and I wanted to surprise my family by showing up for Christmas. So we grabbed some things and left. And I fell asleep all day while Matt drove. When I woke up that evening, we were way above the Bay Area and on our way to Oregon. And we stopped at Bernie Falls in the middle of the night, and it started snowing. And the snow and the waterfalls were absolutely insanely breathtaking, and the most beautiful shades of white, silver, blue, and black. It was like being inside the most beautiful holiday snow globe. I don't even know how we ended up there, but we did. We stood there most of the night freezing, but hypnotized by this beauty. Many hours later, we arrived at my mom's. By now, we were grungy from the road, and I asked my mom if it was Christmas, because I was with Matt, and he didn't know what day it was. And it was. And then Matt turned and explained to my family about the Manson dilemma. So my mom was convinced herself I was on drugs and in a cult, and she kind of pulled me inside and asked, what the hell is going on? And my response was, what would you do if Charlie Manson was your mom? She was not amused. She thought something sinister was happening. But Matt wasn't sinister. The only thing I knew he did that was sinister was injecting Kevin's gumballs with dirty fish water when they were kids. He would reflect on this and wonder if this was possibly the wicked Manson DNA at play. But his it factor read devilish to me. Matt quit one of the later clubs we worked at, but forgot his tarot cards in the DJ booth. The owner found them, shoved them in my face while frantically smudging the club, screaming, I knew he was satanic! Even his tarot cards, they really could cause a scene. So it's no surprise my car randomly failed me on the I-5 on the 3rd, and that my memories of Matt kind of flocked in during that hour pause. Felt like a fitting farewell to a one-of-a-kind friend.
Moving it right along. By the way, I got some stuff if you guys want to eat it. It's all fried, which means obviously I have no love for you. Is Clay DeBose here? I'm sorry. Oh, Clay. All right, our next speaker was a friend of Matthew for 37 years and singer of their band Normandy, Clay.
Well, 37 years is a long time, so I had to write this down just to get all my thoughts out. But thank you, Vicki, John, and Sergio for organizing this amazing event. I know that Matt would have really loved it. I know he loves it. And condolences to all of you. So I met Matt in 1987 and was his friend for 37 years. After a succession of drummers, he became our final drummer for my band Normandy. He was young, 18 years at the time. We were excited by his drumming. He played like he had 4 arms and turbo feet, a beautifully precise and exuberant cacophony. He made an immediate impact, a game changer, and injected new life into our band. When that band broke up, Matthew initially expressed his intent to become a singer-songwriter to our mutual friend Robert Weingartz, who became his music manager and enlisted my support. Back then, Matt said his singing was influenced by Robin Zander of Cheap Trick, being from his hometown of Rockford, Illinois, and by default myself, only because we rehearsed 7 days a week for years and he had no choice but to listen to me day after day. His biggest performing influence was Richard Black of Shark Island. We talked about Richard Black many times. So I joined forces with Matt and Robert and helped him with some co-writing and some vocal production on his first collection of recorded songs, which I have. And I'm going to be getting that to Vicki. I digitize it and send it to Vicki. The wonderful music. I had wondered why, with such a phenomenal drummer, want to make this transition to singer, frontman. But I soon discovered the depth of his talent as he composed beautiful melodic passages on the piano and sang over the top in an emotive tenor voice. We were blown away by this newfound rush of creativity and moved together to Dallas, where there was a burgeoning alt-rock scene and where his friend Irv Carwellis had an indie label. We shared a roving communal existence we called the Mobile Music Family, but each of us, in our own way, found our way back to LA. In Matt's journey back to LA, I heard a couple stories. At one time he said he was playing for a country band in the Midwest and was involved in a bus accident. And Matt always had some strangeness that entered his life, and but he always laughed about it. I was like, country drummer, bus accident, what? But he made it back. Through the years, Matt and I remained close. He came to my wedding 20 years ago, and we stayed in touch. This is often made difficult by Matt's propensity to lose his cell phone, as all you have commented. In this context, so I would always have to track him down. With all that Matt experienced in his life, with his intense ongoing journey of self-discovery and musical evolution with New Rising Sun, we had a few pauses in our communication, but we would inevitably pick things right back up where we left off when we saw each other. I last saw Matt a few years ago in his rehearsal studio, where he played a great new song he had written with his old friend Robert. I last spoke to him at length several months ago about life and touched on some health issues I was having. And he reached out to me just a month ago, maybe even a few weeks. It was certainly not too far time before he died, asking me how my health was and was I doing okay. Because that's the way Matt was. He was concerned about your welfare before his own. Through it all, our crazy Hollywood lives, he remained a brother. Matt had a good heart. He was kind, gentle, sweet, and respectful. He shined with an inner radiance that was never diminished by darkness. He had a quirky sense of humor, observing the world in his own unique way. He was a deep thinker, questioning the reality of almost everything. He was a philosopher poet. His first song as a singer was called Forgotten History. In this song he sings, forgive me, I don't want to be another part of forgotten history, yeah. My 14-year-old daughter is playing this now on her Spotify. Matt, you will never be forgotten history. You will live on in your music, in our collective memory. The first song we wrote together ends after the final chorus with Matt speaking 3 words softly in resignation. He says, "What a life." Yes, what a life. But life was made better for many because you were in it, my friend. Rest in peace. Serenade us as an angel in our dreams. Matt, we miss you, and we will always love you.
I didn't wear glasses when I was younger. That's why vision stuff sucks. Let's see, our next speaker, Rebecca Evans, are you here? Rebecca? Come up. Are you sure? All right, let's move on. Friend of Matthew for 20 years and his girlfriend, Shauna Brown.
There's so much I wanted to say. It was really hard for me to, put it all in words, so I have to keep notes. Clay, you know what? I heard so much about you, and I actually remember Normandy when I was hanging out in Sunset Strip in the late 80s myself. I was like 15, and I had Normandy flyers because that was my thing, was to go to Strip on Friday and Saturday nights and collect flyers. And I actually had Normandy flyers, and there were so many places that me and Matt had in common during that time period that I know that we must have passed each other. You know what I mean? Like we didn't know each other then, but there were so many places that we had in common. And fast forward from the late 80s in the Sunset Strip, now I'm in my 20s and I'm hanging out at Bar Sinister. And of course, you know, Matt, New Rising Sun, house band. I knew who he was. I saw him come in and I saw everybody point, you know what I mean? That's Charlie Manson's son, that's Charlie Manson's son. Everybody would be whispering, you know. And you know, he always packed the house and I always had a blast. But I had my own, you know, crowd friends, you know. I never hung out with him then, you know. One night after one of the shows, I went to an after party, ripped off all my clothes and got in the jacuzzi naked. He said people did that a lot, so it was okay. You know? So, anyways, I never knew him then, okay? Fast forward 10 more years, I am hanging out at Jimmy Bain's house. Jimmy Bain was the bass player from Theo. And Jimmy and Julie were good friends. And I had suffered a spinal injury that had made me extremely crippled at the time. I was pushing myself around and, you know, walker with rollers on it. And I ran into Matt, and Julie told me who he was, and I was like, that's not him, that's not, I know what that guy looks like, that's not him. He had lost so much weight, I didn't recognize him, you know, from when he was in The Rising Sun. And I said, hey, you know what, I think I got naked in your jacuzzi one night at one of your after parties, you know, and he was like, you know, people did that, you know, it would surprise me. So that was actually the opening to our, you know, conversation, you know. And like, he didn't care that I was crippled, you know. He didn't care, you know. We fell in love, you know. We spent, every day together from that point on, you know. And I heard so much about you guys, you know. And you talk about Sean a lot, you know. Anyway, okay. Matthew actually died of asphyxiation due to his lung condition that had developed as a result of the surgery on a rupture in the wall of his abdomen. He had been to the doctor several times. They had given him antibiotics several times. It just wasn't working. I didn't think that something like this would happen. I really didn't. Actually, we had the conversation once. I'm like, Matt, what if something happens to you? What am I going to do? You know, what would I do? He said, don't worry, that's not going to happen. So, you know. Excuse me. I really appreciate every single person in this room that came. It means a lot to me. I appreciate Vicki, you know, so much. She's the goddess of the hostesses. We had a really tight-knit group of friends. You know, a lot of them are here tonight, you know. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, give me a second here. I'm trying to get my bearings here. There's a lady named Kim. Is she here right now? Kim? Oh, hey, how are you? Okay, she worked with Matthew on his genealogy, and they did a video, right? Okay, all right, so yeah, finding out everything about that, you know, was a big closure, you know, for a very, very deep story in his life. Because remember, when he started that journey, he just wanted to find his biological parents. He was engaged to Gina at the time, and she said, I want to know what nationality our children are going to be. You've got to find your biological parents, you know? And so he, you know, hired a service and went down that road and was told what he was told. You know, he thought, like, man, what a fucking mind fuck. You know what I mean? After all of this time and all of the things that had happened and all the correspondence that he had with Charlie, you know what I mean? Personally, to find out at the end of the day what he found out, you know? It was an amazing thing that for any human being to fucking go through. Matt wanted to homestead. He had also bought a piece of property up in Valverde, you know, his first RV. We spent a lot of nights under the stars. You know, a lot of people have asked about, you know, Matt and his partying habits, and honestly, GHB was the thing that he liked to do. It made him fuck like a beast, you know. And we spent a lot of nights under the stars in Valverde doing that, you know. And I'm so glad that I have those nights now. I think about it all the time, you know. I can't remember what else to say at this point. I'm sorry. But I loved him very, 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 very much, and I was there the day that he died. Awful. Nobody should have to go through that. Losing somebody that you're in love with is like the worst possible thing that you can go through. You know? I never thought that I would have to go through that with anyone, especially him. He had just accomplished so many things and was just like so happy to be moving on in life, you know? You know, he had just gotten, you know, money issues taken care of, and, you know, he was like looking forward to the future. We had plans, you know? And this was really just so unexpected. I'd seen him about 15 minutes before this all happened. I was like, I'm going to meet you at the RV. I'm going to get Catherine to meet you at the RV. And Charles drove him home, dropped him off. And then I got a phone call a few minutes later. And he said, Shauna, I need you to take me to the emergency room. I can't breathe. And I got in my car and I went like 90 miles an hour, you know, to get to him. And when I got to him, he was already gone. So, yeah. Anyways, this is really hard for me, you know, to do. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
She never fucked me out with the stars like this. I just want to make that clear. Really like that joke. Raylene, you're up next. A friend of Matthew for 20 years, Raylene.
Good evening, everybody, or mostly Shauna. I hope the Great Spirit holds you forever and ever in the palm of His hand for a loss that will never be recreated. John, Sergio, Vicky, for putting your hearts behind this, what we're experiencing now, a love for a friend that is non-comparable. Free spirit, to quote on Vicky, was my favorite part of Matt, is that he did things his way, always, and there was never a compromise in what his heart offered our world, and that was only ever love. To all of us left behind, thank goodness for every memory we have that can keep our hearts smiling forever, having known him. And I'd like to just say, if you knew Matthew Robert Lentz in any way, you knew magic. Thank you.
I apologize, it's me again. The good friend of Matthew since 7th grade, a guy by the name of Kevin A. Petit, was unable to attend, so he sent me this memory. I'm not calling it a eulogy. I'm not accepting that one yet. So this is from Kevin. He said, "Dear Matt, this is another very difficult, devastating, life-changing event for me. I lost my mother exactly 2 years ago this month, and now you. This has all been so surreal, and please bear with me as I tell you all something about Matt and me that many of you may not know. Before we start, I need to apologize for not being able to be there with you all. Also, Matt and I had a falling out 5 years ago, and I left LA in 2020 because of the COVID hysteria, and despite, we still kept in touch. And that's why some of you might not know who I am and or have not seen me in a long time. Now, enough of this somber shit. Let's get to the good stuff. Matt was a brilliant mind in so many ways. I have been friends and best friends with Matt since 1980. We met in the 7th grade in sewing class. Yes, I said sewing class. We were the only 2 boys in the class, and we started talking and found out that we both loved fishing as Matt was making a fish pillow. We quickly bonded and became friends. Matt was one hell of a prankster. One time at his house after school, we were born and raised in Rockford, Illinois. Matt was actually born in Chicago and adopted and raised in Rockford as an infant. He gave me a Coca-Cola. When I took a big drink of it, it tasted like a strong pickle flavor. I nearly spit it out and Matt busted out. As he admitted that he put pickle juice in my drink. Another time he gave me a gumball. And when I bit into it, it squirted some liquid in my mouth. I spit it out and said, "What the hell?" And he busted out laughing and said that he placed fish tank water in it. I said, "Yuck." And he said, "Just kidding, I used a syringe and put regular water in it." I have so many stories like that with him and all the crazy stuff that we used to do together. If you all only knew. I remember when he told me he wanted to learn how to play drums, inspired by his favorite band Rush and maybe a little Cheap Trick, because they were also Rockford natives. Matt always talked about Def Leppard's drummer Rick Allen and how crazy it was what happened to him. He learned to play very quickly, and I was amazed at how good he was and got in a short period of time. Then he started learning to play the piano. Even I started dabbling in music and started learning the piano and keyboard, so we even jammed one time together in my short career in music. LOL. He must be young, I have no idea what that means. He was in a cover band. I believe the name was In the Pink. But I went to just about every show, if not all of them. Matt often told me that he had graduated high school, but after he graduated high school, he was going to move to LA and go to MIT in Hollywood to study drums. And sure enough, he did in 1986. He would call me all the time on those pirate prepaid phone numbers. One day he told me, "Dude, you should move out here. I have a job and I'm making $5 an hour." And I said, "5 an hour? Wow." I was in Rockford working at Kenny Shoes, freezing my ass off, making $3.35. So I moved to Hollywood on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1988. Matt and his girlfriend Gina, Chauncey, picked me up from LAX and welcomed me. I moved into his apartment off of Normandy and Melrose in Hollywood with his friends Randy Peacock and Sean Murphy, also Rockford natives. From the moment I moved in, it was nonstop craziness. Man, the stories. Matt was a profound speaker. I used to cook a lot of food when I lived there. I had a barbecue grill and used to cook 8 chicken breasts at a time. One day I made 2 pizzas, which was Matt's favorite. As Matt was leaving the apartment to go somewhere, I think Sean or someone took a picture of me and Matt stopped and said, "Kevin, one day you're going to look back at this day and say to yourself, damn, I was fat." Or damn, I was skinny. In LA, Matt was in a number of bands, Normandy Honey and New Rising Sun and many others, entertainment and musical projects throughout his career. On the side, he also worked many jobs in self-employed businesses. Matt and I lived together on numerous occasions, left LA for a while in 92 or 93, moved to Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia. And also left LA in 92, and we hooked back up in Atlanta in June of 94. He got me a job at the Holiday Inn in November of 94. We decided to move back to LA, so we did. We lived together the next 4 years. Matt always talked about finding his biological family, just so he could know his genealogy. And around 98, he got a message that the agency who was searching for his birth mother had found her. They told him that she had mental issues, and to just be aware of that when he contacted her. It was all true, and that's when things got deep with his birth mother. When his birth mother told him that he was possibly conceived and that his father may be Charles Manson. We were like, what? And one day at a party or an event, Matt was talking to a writer or something like that, and he was telling him about his adoption story, and the person said, do you mind if I shop your story? And Matt said, sure, why not? I know that there was times, and maybe even fully, he regretted ever doing it. That's when things really took off. Became big news worldwide and caused him to become somewhat of a celebrity, or at least a lot of notoriety. He was interviewed on the Howard Stern Show, Up Close with Anderson Cooper, In Touch Magazine, The Globe, TMZ, etc. I want to get something straight and understand about all the Manson stuff. Matt never tried to make money, profit, or sought to gain fame from it. I'm saying this because he was criticized and talked about badly on social media. We're simply sharing his sincere personal story, and I personally feel it took a toll on him. I think most of you know that it's been proven that Charles Manson is not Matt's biological father. So the story ends there, but he has a new story. It's also very interesting, and unfortunately we'll never be able to talk about it together. As I said earlier, Matt was a brilliant mind because, and besides all his musical accolades, he was a writer, author, researcher, philosopher, tarot card reader, and master prankster. In close, there's so much to say about Matt, and there's not enough time here to give him the full justice he deserves. This is just a small snippet for everyone who didn't know a lot or much about him, or a refresher for those who did. He was a very gentle, free spirit, soul, full of love for all people. He was a vegetarian. Mostly he would rescue insects and animals in trouble. And of course, he would give you the shirt off his back, or even his last dollar of food, or food, if you needed it more than he did. And if you needed a place to stay at a crash for the night, or even a few days, if he could help, he would. And I know because he did it for me on numerous occasions. He did battle some demons and dark times in his life, as we all do. But he always battled through and kept his positive image. Last thing I want everyone to know is that Matthew, next to my mother, bless her soul, and family, has been the most influential person in my life. Yes, 2 exclamation marks, but I'm not screaming that now. He taught me about tools and fish tanks, rock music genres. He got me to LA. He taught me the ropes. He got me my first job in the hotel business. Taught me how to DJ. He got me a job DJing the day after I got fired from the hotel job I'd been on for years. Places to stay when I needed it. Challenged and expanded my mind about this reality creation, who and what we are. God, we would have some very deep, serious, intellectual conversations, and you can read some of them in his book, The First Rays, The New Rising Sun. He was my number one guy to talk to about all that stuff. Thank you all for being here tonight in celebration of Matt's life and for allowing him to be a part of yours. Because in one way or another, you're very blessed in your own special way by him. Matt, once again, there are no words to describe what you meant to me. I always cherish and will be thankful for having you in my life and all you did for me. And will definitely miss being able to talk to you and hear your voice. Anytime you want to communicate with me, please feel free. Or until we meet again on the other side, you will always be in my heart. Brother, enjoy your freedom. Your brother from another mother, Kevin Newton. Let's see, now, do we have a Happening Harry in the house? Come on up. Happening Harry was a friend of Matthew for 23 years, then a club promoter.
Hi, I'm Harry. And I'm an alcoholic. You know, I have to say this about Matt. He and I were nothing alike. Nothing alike at all. And but we were both a couple of strange motherfuckers. I'm better at fooling people. Matt and I were roommates also for quite a while, and it's funny because I hear a lot of mention of tarot readings here tonight, and Matt would insist that I pull his cards for his readings. Apparently I have a gift, and I still have my deck, and I might open it today in honor of Matthew. But apparently